My name is Sheila, and this is your Neuro Dive Corner. And today we're gonna speak about a new study that came out. So this earlier this month, beginning of September, ending of August, beginning of September, but the publication itself came in September in the Journal of Molecular Biology and Evolutions, and they were talking about how in DNA and throughout the years, neurodiverse traits seem to have been selected and preferred by the process of evolution. So they were focusing obviously on some of those like neurodivergent aspects and diagnoses that are a little bit more mainstream and a little bit more behavior rooted. So obviously they were looking at attention deficit disorder, they were looking at attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity disorder, they were looking at obsessive compulsive disorders, and they were looking at autism. So what they were finding is that obviously, like everything else in life, there are things that are an advantage and things that can pose difficulties. And I think we are all very well aware of the difficulties that can come with having a neurodivergent brain. Like, for example, my attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity. I always say it's a superpower because it has allowed me to be able to move from one task to the next very quickly and without getting too bent out of shape, where other people can't really tolerate things like that. But the trade-off of my attention deficit is that I have to maintain myself very organized. So I always tell people that my alarms have alarms and my reminders have their own reminders, just because of that. So what this scientist and what this study found out was in the aspect of attention deficit disorder and attention deficit with the hyperactive modality, that it seems that through evolution that was a desired trait. So evolution kept passing it down the DNA chain. The scientists think the advantage was precisely the fact that people that have attention deficit, when they really like something, they zero in and it's like laser focus, total motivation. I'm gonna crush this one topic. So they will make themselves the experts on something on a fairly short period of time, and they think that that is part of why throughout evolution that trait has continued to be passed down. The other thing is creative thinking. A lot of the times people with attention deficit disorder and hyperactive modalities tend to have very creative minds, or minds that are geared towards creative solutions and kind of like looking outside the box, because they don't like to be boxed in. That's part of the problem, right, for them. So they think that's one of the things that was gained by passing down the trait of attention deficit, was the fact that these tend to be individuals that are creative in the way they see the world, creative in the way they tackle problems, creative in the way that they solve problems. In terms of obsessive compulsive behaviors, obviously it's kind of like the same thing. People that can actually compulsively do things over and over again, is believed that in ancient times that might have been a beneficial trait of somebody that could have that level of intensity and compulsion towards one task or one particular behavior. Obviously, that is a very debilitating disease when it's not treated and is kind of like severe. But in a well-managed and moderate one, it seems that evolution felt that that trait, it was something that needed to be passed down. The other traits that they were looking at was autism disorder or autism spectrum, and they feel that that's the meat of the study and the crux of the findings. They noted that the trait of autism not only has been expressed and has been around since very early, with first documentations going earlier than the 1920s, to what we know nowadays. But let me shout out to the people in the chat that are joining. Thank you for joining the live. Thank you for joining the video. You guys are my community, and we're here for that. We're here to learn from each other. Editing with Ari. Ari, are you gonna start teaching me how to edit videos? There was a time in my life that I did radio and TV production. That was many years ago. I hated editing. I hate editing audio, and I hate even more editing video. But it's just one of those things. So what's up, people? What's up? Fusion Gaming, thank you for joining. Make sure that you guys share and do all the things. Do the little bell icon, do the like, do the subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. I am not monetizing. I am not an influencer. I am actually a mental health technician. I'm an emergency medicine technician, a social worker by trade, and an autism specialist. So yeah, a lot of hats. Love me some hats. So yeah, thank you for joining the live, and can please just keep sharing so we can build our community. Can I have a shout out? Your name is Jaden. I have a cousin that's named Jaden. Love the name. Thank you. I'm actually on my way home. Yeah, I just left work. I'm a workaholic. But yeah, we were talking about how evolution has seemed to favor neurodiversity and has continued to pass down neurodiverse traits through our DNA expression. So all of those funky diagnoses that we feel place hurdles in people's lives actually have been selected by evolution and have continued to be passed down. So they obviously have a lot of positives as well, and they bring a lot into the picture. So in the case of autism, a lot of the things that they were looking at was the ability that autistic people have to deep dive into their preferred topics. They feel that evolution, that type of like organization, recognizing patterns, memorizing, and being very sensitive to stimuli. Because remember, that's one of the things in the autism spectrum, is that sometimes you can be understimulated, which is good, because if there's a war, a conflict, or something like that, I would imagine that the person that's understimulated will be able to stay cool, calm, and collected, right? On the other hand, some people in the autism spectrum can actually be overly stimulated. So they are extremely keen to outside stimuli and even inside stimuli. So if you think in survival mode, you would think being keenly aware of your surroundings and outside stimuli would be a preferred trait. So when people tell you all of these nonsensical dumbassery about any diagnosis, but especially, and because it's close to my heart, when it comes to autism, let them know, remind them of autism stars that we have out there, many in the ancient times. Remind people that autism is not this is not COVID, okay? This is not a pandemic. It has always been there. The reason it appears to be ramping up is because the same reason you don't use a pager anymore, or a Sony disc, you guys are too young for this, or a Sony disc CD player, or even an MP3 player. You don't use those anymore. Why? Because technology got better. We got a lot better at technology. So the same concept applies to diagnostics and medicine. The better we get at recognizing earlier, the more cases, obviously, we are going to notice, because we are able to diagnose, treat, and intervene a lot earlier. And I understand because for a lot of people, autism doesn't have a definitive test, a black and white. Yes, you here, look at this paper, it tells you you're autistic. And that can make it extremely frustrated. But the reality is, you guys can donate to me, absolutely. I am not gonna say no to stuff like that. I guess I like helping. I'm a social worker. That's what I do for a trade. I'm constantly helping people. So yeah, no, I am not monetizing off of this. This was never the purpose of the channel. The channel was to highlight how important and how beautiful neurodiversity is, and how amazing are the people that take care and support neurodivergent individuals. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want, I can actually put my Cash App on the description of the video, and if you guys feel like you want to help the cause, I'm for it. But yeah, so just wanted to share that with you guys, you know, that if autism, if attention deficit, if obsessive compulsive behaviors were completely undesired traits, or I'm sorry, not treats, traits. I'm tired. If we follow evolution and what we know about evolution, those traits would have eventually weed out of our DNA and everything else. Now, obviously, when it comes to autism, we know it's an intellectual developmental disability. We know it's neurophysiology. So the composition of your brain and chemistry of the brain have to do, but there is a genetic component to it. We know that. But there is an environmental component to it as well. I am going to address the Tylenol mess very briefly. I am not a physician, nor is it the President of the United States and anybody else in that cabinet. And no, Dr. Oz does not count. Okay? He was a doctor once upon a time. Now he's a shill and a fraud. When it comes to Tylenol, talk to your provider. I will share with you that an adult sustaining a fever of 104 for more than 2 to 4 hours will start ceasing and can actually slip into a coma. So imagine what a fetus that is developing goes through if the mama, if the carrier has a fever or chronic pain. Is anybody gonna do that study to see what the correlation is? And how many babies' brains got fried because mom didn't take the medications on time? Because she was scared of hurting the baby? Or the fetus? Not the baby, the fetus. Let's get it together. Because I like to keep it scientific. Anybody gonna do that study? I don't think so. But again, you are not a physician. So if you are not a physician, talk to your provider, weigh the pros and the cons, and then make your decision. Okay? That's the way that should go. If you are concerned and you are pregnant and you need medication, the person to talk to is your OBGYN and your OBGYN only. Okay? Max, I saw you. Shout out. Thank you for joining the live. Please do all the good things. Subscribe, share, like, whatever. All of that. Yeah, definitely. Oh, thank you so much, Fusion Gaming. Oh my god, you made my day. I've never had this. This is what I like. I like the engagement. I never had this before. I'm so happy. Well, anyway, thank you, everybody. Hi, Alex. Hi, Tim Beer. Guys, make sure you rewind the video. Go in the description. Somebody asked me about donations. I'll add my Cash App to the video description. I'll link to all the other videos and go through the playlist. There's an amazing playlist about autism people that are famous and successful. So check those out, okay? And share with everybody so we can keep growing our community. As always, guys, stay safety, stay healthy, stay safe. These are the times to lift each other. That's the only way we get through to this, okay? Is with empathy, with love. So put it out there. Love you guys. I'll be talking to you guys soon.